Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Mark. Wimbledon is over. It was very exciting. There were so many storylines on the men's and the women's side. Even mixed doubles with Hingis and Leander winning the mixed doubles. I mean, Leander Paes is becoming one of, or is one of the, I guess, great doubles players of all time, and Martina Hingis making her comeback. But the biggest storyline to me is Serena Williams. Serena Williams is on the verge of possibly achieving one of the biggest feats in tennis, and that is winning the calendar year Grand Slam. She's one tournament away, and that's the U.S. Open. She is having probably one of the best, if not the best year, at least midway through, of her career. She's won Wimbledon. She's won the French Open. She's won the Australian Open. I think she's only lost one time this year. So, of course, with her winning Wimbledon this time, the question comes up. Even the comment is made. Serena Williams is the greatest female tennis player of all time. Or is Serena Williams the greatest female tennis player of all time? Now, about a year ago, I did a video on this very topic. Who is the best women's tennis player of all time? And I'll try to link it just so you can, take a look at it, because I'm going to reference that a little bit. Now, I put out a few names of, the women who you would think of when that question comes up. Martina Navratilova, Serena Williams, Steffi Graf. Even talked about Chris Evert, Margaret Court. And I just threw Monica Seles in there as well, just because, the unfortunate stabbing, I felt she really could have had an impact on women's tennis for the long term. But my conclusion was, at the end of that sort of video, after looking at tournaments and Grand Slams and records here and records there, was that the best women's tennis player of all time was Steffi Graf. Number 2 for me was Martina Navratilova. And number 3 was Serena Williams. I've changed my views a little bit. Not what you think, though. To me, the best women's tennis player of all time is still Steffi Graf. Hold on, before you cut this video off and be like, what the hell is he talking about? I do want you to look at my previous video if you haven't seen it already, because what I said, and it was the last comment in that video, was that if Serena, and mind you, at that time, Serena, I think, she had won a Grand Slam in that year. She lost at Wimbledon, she lost at the French Open, I think, and lost at the Australian Open. And basically, my opinion came strictly from the fact that Steffi Graf had won the Grand Slam, and she had the most Grand Slams of any women's tennis player in the Open era, as well as, I think, being number 1 longer than any other female tennis player. Those were the core reasons for me picking Steffi as the greatest female tennis player of all time. And I still stick to that. Now, I read an article about someone saying, well, if Monica Seles hadn't been stabbed, then Steffi wouldn't have, won all those tournaments in her absence. And, with every single one of these ladies, we could say shoulda, coulda, woulda. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. If Martina wasn't around, God knows how many Grand Slams, French Opens, Chris Evert, would have won. Okay? And same with Martina. If Chris wasn't around, God knows how many Grand Slams and tournaments Martina would have won. Maybe both of them would have won the Grand Slam. You know, if Serena didn't have those injuries during the middle part of her career, God knows how many other Grand Slams. So we can very easily say shoulda, coulda, woulda. And, you know, just in looking back on the Monica Seles and Steffi Graf career, I remember those matches well because they were great. Even in Monica's, I would say her heydays, that 1990 to 1993, I think, when she won like 7 or 8 of the Grand Slams during that period, you know, Steffi did beat her like 2 or 3 times. I think they had a 4-3 head-to-head with Monica in the lead. And Steffi beat her at Wimbledon 6-2, 6-1. So, you know, it's hard to say what would have happened. In all honesty, Steffi was losing to people like Gabriella Sabatini and Arantxa Sanchez Vicario. And she couldn't even get to Monica in some of these Grand Slams. But what I said at the end of my last video was that if Serena wins a few more Grand Slams, then yes. Or I didn't say a few, but yeah, if she wins more, then yes, put her name in that conversation. Let me say this. If Serena wins this U.S. Open, she will have tied Steffi Graf. She will have won the Grand Slam. I have to look at the records. I have to look at the numbers a little bit more, but, you know, she could be considered the greatest female tennis player of all time. For sure, if she wins the Grand Slam. There is a valid argument for that. I don't feel that the argument is that valid right now. You know, to me, she's number 2 now. I had her as number 3 behind Martina. But now I have her at number 2. I have Steffi number 1 and Serena number 2. If Serena wins the U.S. Open, she will have tied Steffi Graf for the most Grand Slams. You know, I just would want to look at their records and that type of thing. But for sure, if Serena wins 2 more Grand Slams, she is the greatest tennis player of all time. I'm a man of my word. If you look at my previous video, you know, I sort of alluded to this and said this then. But I think right now we're jumping the gun a little bit too soon. You know. But anyhow, congratulations, Serena. You're doing well. You're doing well. I'm hanging in. I'm pulling for you. I like to experience history. And I definitely want to see you win this Grand Slam. And, you know, sort of kind of prove the naysayers wrong. Anyhow, that's it. Talk to you later. Peace.